how home buying works, but it's full of scripts and dialogues for buyer's agents to use with their prospect. It was really written for the consumer, but actually in the eyes and the language of the real estate agent or buyer specialist. So anyway,
and I think now with
sticks out, that kind of slides in there. Yeah.
With Command right now, Dave, people should be doing a Facebook ad, book a first appointment with me and get this for free. I remember when that first came out, that your first home was a free gift you got at the buyer consult.
Yeah, it was a great idea. It's a great thing to do because it also validates the role of the agent and the idea of a home search person, a prospective buyer, getting in the game early with their agent rather than waiting later. And then also why they would want to sign a buyer rep agreement. It's right in there, written in the kind of in the language of the interests of the buyer. Here's why you want to enter into a buyer rep agreement with your buyer agent. It's right there in the book.
And I love it because it also tells Gary Keller's story of his first home with the picture and Mo Anderson's first home.
We tried to make it a love story. Everyone told their story of the first home they owned. And actually, when you read through those, they're touching. They're very touching because that first home ownership in everybody's life is a big deal. And so it's kind of it's an interesting, got a little bit of a novel flavor to it. Yeah.
Cool. I'll give you the floor, Dave. I know you've got a topic you've been sharing out there, so I'll let you run with it.
Well, let me just tell you, thank you, Michael, for bringing me here. And let me say, I want to honor you and Brian for the incredible region you've built. I was up there when it was struggling. Yeah. When it was trying to get started, there's parts of the country where we didn't take hold fast and launch like Brian and the gang did down in the Southeast out of Atlanta, but other places we struggled, and the greater New York area was one. And of course, I understand that because it's my home territory. Yep. I mean, I was born and raised in upstate New York. My first job was on Long Island at Stony Brook University. My first job in real estate was with Century 21 upstate New York, and that included the lower Hudson Valley, so Westchester County and Rockland County and that whole area that's part of you now. So I feel a real affinity for your area, and I know how tough it is. I know how competitive it is. I know how sophisticated buyers and sellers and agents are there. So for you to have accomplished what you've accomplished in the time you had there, I honor that. I honor that.
Thank you, and I got to give the credit to the people on this call. I mean,
of course. No, then you're jumping ahead of me here because no, that's okay because that's what high D, high I achievers do. Sure. They jump ahead of people. But what I want to say to those of you who are on the call is, see, I was in real estate over 30 years. I was a regional director for Century 21 in upstate New York and 3 states. Then they asked me to move to Texas and form a mega region out of Dallas, which turned into one of 6 divisions of Century 21 out of Dallas. And it was there I got to see this little company growing out of Austin. I got connected with Mo Anderson, who had been with Century 21, tried to recruit her to my Century 21 team. And she had just said, no, I just shook hands with Gary Keller about opening Keller Williams up here. But the more I studied Keller Williams, the more I knew, see, as experienced as I was, and with the biggest company there was at the time, I knew that Keller Williams was the future of real estate. I just knew it. I knew how it was built. It was powerful, and I could see it. So when I had the chance, a long story, but Century 21 fired me, which is interesting, because I prevented my #1 Century 21 owner, Marcy Barton in Dallas, from going to Keller Williams. She came in and said, Dave, I'm not renewing my franchise. And I went, well, Marcy, what are you going to do? And she said, I'm going to Keller Williams. And I said, that little pyramid company down in Austin, you're doing that? And she said, oh yeah, I learned more about the future of real estate from Gary Keller in one afternoon than I've ever learned in anything in Century 21. But I negotiated this wonderful deal for her to stay with us. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it would become a model for Century 21, but they said I had overstepped my authority and they fired me, which was perfect because the next day I got a call from Mo Anderson who said, well, this is great, Dave. I said, what do you mean? What do you mean, Mo? I just lost this big cushy job, with Century 21. And she said, no, now you can be with Keller Williams. And it took a couple of years, and that's a long story in and of itself, but she hired me in, and then I got to build the foundation of Keller Williams with Gary Keller and Mo Anderson to put in place the models, the systems. For 12 years in a row, I taught every franchise systems orientation session, every team leader, every OP, every MCA that came through. I got to spend 3 days with them, and then Mo did launch. And all of that was wonderful. And then, of course, got to, write the books with Gary and Jay and do that. And so in 2009 or so, it was just time for me to make a change. People say, why did you leave your active role in Keller Williams? And it was because we had written all the books that needed to be written, other than the ones that weren't exactly real estate, like The One Thing. We had begun that, but it wasn't done yet. And then I really wanted to go into the world of entrepreneurship. So I started teaching classes to entrepreneurs based on that fundamental business principles that I'd learned and studied in Keller Williams. And then I helped another national company. It's called Master Networks. And based out of Dallas with Chaz Wilson as its founder. And I helped him write his fundamental book called 5+1, the formula for entrepreneurs. And I say all that because a little over a year ago now, I watched as Gary Keller got re-engaged, and I reached out to him and said, Gary, you've always told us we needed to be involved in reinvention. Well, welcome to the club. Here you are diving back in. And he said, Dave, that's wonderful. Love to hear from you. Let's get together. We had coffee or tea in his office. And then, as you know, Michael, I've been coming to regional director meetings over that time. And I started doing very unique training in the fall. And then it was moving into this year. And of course, we had a whole bunch, my wife and I, Gina, had a whole bunch of training events scheduled. And of course, they got bottomed out. But here's the neat thing, Michael. I have done Zoominars for over 60 Keller Williams market centers.
Nice. And
the reason I say that, and the reason I'm here with you, is because, let me kind of back to this other point, and I'll finish that sentence. And that is, Michael, one of the things I understood is I came back into the Keller Williams and I looked at where had we grown as a company. And I realized we had built muscle that no other company can match. There's one thing that no other company in the real estate environment, brand new or exist or long-standing, has, and that's you. I mean, the team that's on this call.
Oh, I thought that was me, Michael Brand. Okay, I was feeling really good for a second.
Well, Michael, you're included in that, okay? I'm not excluding you, but it's your whole team, because here's what we understand. Leadership matters. The second thing we understand is the game is at the market center level. Yep. Real estate is a local business driven by local real estate agents who are housed in a powerful real estate office. That's the history of real estate. That's the history of power real estate. That's Keller Williams. That's why we said we will only have a few market centers. We call them market centers, center of the market. We don't want a lot of little offices out and out. And yeah, I know we've done business centers and all that where it made strategic sense. I get that. And it's one of the neat things about Keller Williams' flexibility. But the other is we wanted market centers because we wanted them to be big so that the agent could keep most of the money and we could still offer all the services and have the staff and still have enough margin there for an owner to make a profit. And then to do profit share, which is amazing that we even think about a model like that. So, but what I want you to understand is the power of us is you. It's you creating that environment that agents, I don't call them market centers, I call them energy centers. It's where an agent comes, plugs in, powers up, and then goes after their goals with your all the training, all the marketing, all the technology, all of the synergy, all of the culture, all of the things that you bring to the table. So what I just want to do, what I'm doing in my mission now, since I'm back, I'm not employed by the company. I'm an independent guy. I'm here out of passion and love, and because I love this company and I love real estate agents and what we're doing with them. But my mission is to link them to their local market center. So I'm doing calls like this, but what I really want to do is calls for market centers. And as I said, I've done over 60 of those during this COVID time, and they've been powerful because what I do three things. I focus the agent on what they must do now if they're serious about being in real estate. The second thing is I focus them on the power and the resources that are right here in Keller Williams for them to take advantage of and use. And if they aren't, then they're missing that opportunity. And the third thing I do is what I did at Family Reunion in the talk I gave there called Light My Fire. I really helped them understand the first of the 6 personal perspectives: self-mastery, the commitment to self-mastery. That's the one I specialize in. Gary Keller specializes in the second one, Focus with the 2080. Of course, that's the one thing. And there's an interesting story behind that. But I really help them under how to build mental toughness, how to build resilience, how to deal with adversity, because I've done it in my life. And so is my wife, Gina. And so she joins me on some of those in ways that are very powerful. So I just say that because, Michael, that's my mission. So what I just like to do in this little bit of a time together today is give you a flavor of the way I talk, because what I'm trying to do, I endorse all the big future stuff that's going on, all the stuff with command and all of the stuff with technology and all of the stuff with Gary Keller thinking about, the fact that it's dependent, interdependent, and independent, that we serve all those markets, because we've always said we were a broadband company. We welcome agents of every level to join us, and then we help them get to the level they want to get to. And we're not trying to do any picking and choosing, other than commitment. And so what I want the agent to understand is how they can be successful through their market center and through using the power of Keller Williams. So one of the themes I use, and I'll just kind of take us real quickly through this. And Michael, you stop me anytime. Sure. If I end up going too long here, my friend, and I want to leave time for any questions that any of you have. But one of the things that I share with them is this idea I learned from Floyd Wickman very early in my career. He was my first mentor, and I brought him into upstate New York to do sweat hogs and all of that. He said, Dave, magic comes in threes. Anytime you talk about anything stated in three terms that they're memorable, he said, people remember three ideas. If you ask them, what are the three things that you got out of that book, they'll tell you. It's just memory works in threes, right? And we say, well, what about the one thing? And I just tell you is, remember, it's 1, 3, 5. So the one thing is empowered by the three ways that you get to it. So 3 is still magic. So magic comes in threes. And I said, that is really true in real estate. And I said, what do we say in real estate, right? For millennia, we've said, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, my job is to get you the most money in the least time with a minimum of inconvenience to you. And to buyers, we say, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, my job is to get you a home you'll love that's affordable in the right amount of time with a minimum of inconvenience for you. We all know the fundamentals of personal health: nutrition, exercise, and rest. The hard part is implementing it, but we only know it's those three things. We know the founding of this great American experiment we're a part of: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those fundamental principles drive an incredibly creative, open, and achieving society, and abundant for sure. Keller Williams, we're not politically correct. We say, here's what we stand for: God, family, and then business. We're not selling a religion. If you've been to Mo's Inspirational Mornings, you see we have 5 or 6 of the leading religions in the world giving their prayers at the front end. What we say is your relationship with your higher power, your relationship with God matters, because it's where you go for right living, right standards of behavior, and where you go for meaning, your big why. And then it's family. It's your love relationships and people that count on you. And then it's business, your work, where you take the gifts God has given you in the way of intelligence and abilities, and you go use those to serve other people and get paid for it. We know the keys to real estate sales success: leads, listings, and leverage. Magic comes in threes. We used to say, it's funny, we used to say in franchise systems training, when we only had like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people in the whole company, and they'd say, well, in my market, no one's ever heard of Keller Williams. And I'd say, well, when they say they haven't heard of Keller Williams, here's your answer. Well, let me tell you about Keller Williams. Keller Williams is the newest, most innovative, fastest growing real estate company in America. And they go, whoa, I didn't know that. See, and then you hooked them into a conversation. And now, of course, we say, I'm with Keller Williams because it's the largest and most innovative and most highly respected real estate company in the world. And they go, whoa, I didn't know that. See, so magic comes in threes. Now, by the way, we understand leadership, and we understand that each level of leadership has a responsibility. We have KWRI, and that's responsibility for the system, the design, the delivery of training at the highest level, the making events and materials and training available. That we create things, Keller Williams International, that people can't create on their own, right? Like certain training materials, or now Command. No one else can go out and create Command. We are the leading technology company in real estate, and we are being honored by technology watchers of all industries, not just real estate. And our work with Kelly and Command and and consumer is just amazing. But that's what we know what that role is. It's leadership. And of course, Gary Keller knows that it's being visionary, and he doesn't call himself a visionary. He just says he's a deep researcher, but you and I know he pays attention. And then he comes back and he's provocative to us in ways we can understand, and we can go do things the right way. Now, regions, it's interesting. People don't understand the role of regions. I was a regional director for Century 21. I was a regional vice president. I mean, a divisional president, which had 5 regions. And here's what I know regions are for: empowerment and quality control. They empower you as the leaders. That's what they bring wisdom to you. They bring training to you. They bring, they coach with you. And then they bring quality to the system. See, if a system is willy-nilly out there with no quality control, like RE/MAX is, truthfully, and EXP is for sure, is that things go hodgepodgey. You know, there's no quality, there's no consistency. But here's, and that, Gary Keller, I always love this. He always would say to people when they come to franchise, they said, if your attorney recommends that you sign this franchise agreement, fire your attorney. He said, because this is written in our favor the whole way. This whole contract's written in our favor. But here's why. Because you need to know that if the person with Keller Williams down the road isn't living to the system, we got all the muscle to take them out, to preserve your value. That's why it's written tough in our favor. Well, our regions, it's not that they're enforcers, but they are quality control people. And so they have to take people out or replace OPs or replace team leaders or whatever. Why? Because we're committed to quality. I'm sorry, we're committed to it. And we're committed to leadership, and we're all committed to playing by the same powerful rules that we live by. And of course, then the market center is where the game's played. The market center is where the game's played. That is it. That's the value. People don't join Keller Williams, they join market centers. Now, the market center may represent Keller Williams and what they bring and what the value is, but they've got to have that relationship. See, it's all built on relationship anyway. Well, then we know.
And on the flip side, David, just to interject, when people have left Keller Williams, they don't always leave Keller Williams, but they leave the local leadership. I know
that's right. Often, no, that's where we have to. Yeah. That's right. So we have to look in the mirror. Why did we leave? Or maybe we're letting them down by not living up to what they expected to get here, or we've lost relationship with them. Or, you know, the other thing, I'm going to tell you this right now. It's very important for all of us. We have to get our agents plugged into the system. Because if they're not using it, there's no value. If they're not using command, if they're not going to the training, if they're not doing any of our stuff, they don't need us. Why? Because they aren't using us. So they don't, their perception of value, they go, somebody offers them something down the street, and they go, oh, okay, that sounds good. You know, why? Because they're not getting it where we are, not because we don't have it, but because we haven't plugged them into it. And so we constantly are having to be sure that our people are plugged in and using our system, and we encourage them to do it. It's not a heavy hammer thing, but we encourage them to do it because we know what it is. And so we know what our delivery system is. The market centers are all focused on agent success, and all the resources and tools, staffing, productivity, coaching, technology, environment, a productivity specific environment. That was one of the first 6 courses that Gary Keller and I built for Keller Williams University, was a productivity specific environment. That's what a market center is. It ought to be a place where production happens, and it has that electric energy, and people in there and make that happen. The real estate agent, we know they're consumer focused. We want them consumer focused. They're the ones that we always used to say, you know, that we're a training and consulting company cleverly disguised as a real estate franchise system. Now we say we're a training, consulting, and technology company cleverly disguised as a real estate franchise system, because we don't do real estate. Our agents do real estate.
Are you guys getting some of the scripts Dave uses? The sentences you have, Dave, are so clearly crafted perfectly to be able to really deliver the most impact. And I just make sure you guys are writing down some of these things that he's saying. A lot of it's been around for a while, but you present it as if it's fresh and new, and it's amazing the way you deliver these scripts.
Well, you know what? It's one of the things we can get tired about Keller Williams. We can get bored. And if we don't renew our energy about what this system is about and for what makes it so powerful, then it's ho-hum, right? So thank you for saying that. And by the way, one of the things that I think I brought to the table in that triumvirate with Gary and Mo was a way with words and marketing, because my job was to articulate the Keller Williams system. I began Wealth Building Wednesdays, where I would interview agents that had joined us and what they were doing. And then we would describe what makes, Keller Williams so powerful. And I did the same thing with Millionaire Mondays in making MREA come alive. And I would go out as I remember going to my very first training session. We called it MAPS at the time, Mega Agent Productivity Systems. This was before MREA in 1999 down in Atlanta. And that was the one that, that Brian was at, and a bunch of other leaders down there with Bob and Kay. And a ton of people in that room were not yet with Keller Williams, but at the end of it, a bunch of them joined us. Why? Well, because I was delivering value, but also the language of what makes Keller Williams value. So if there's anything I can do in this time period of my encore years and my re-engagement with the company I love, Keller Williams, it's to revitalize the language we use. Now, Michael, are you recording this?
I am. Is okay?
No, good. Good. No, I'm glad, because people can, if they want to rewatch any part of it, if there's some language or scripts that they wanted to get, then I'm happy to have them get that, right? That would be, I'm encouraging the same thing, because I do about an hour long, an hour 10 presentation at the Market Center level. And we're powering a bunch of stuff faster than what I'm doing with you, and language that they're using in sales. And a lot of them are writing me things that say, Dave, I re-listened to this 3 times. It was so valuable to me. So yeah.
There was a script I learned from you when you taught the class up in Springfield, Massachusetts back in 2006, I think it was. And I use it every time I teach MREA. I always say, Dave Jenks says this: your success in the real estate business is in direct proportion to the number of people when they think of real estate, they think of you. And I'll repeat it 3 times because you repeated it 3 times that day. So there's these little things over the years I've learned from you that are just so perfect and so powerful.
Well, let me tell you this. I'm offering 3 now that we've come through. The thing I've been offering to market centers is a thing called Power Up, Pivot, Smart, right? Survive to thrive. And it's really all been about how to deal with this time that we're in, and then what you do beyond. But now I'm offering 3 other ones, and one of them is called Why List With Me, The Power of Your Words. And one of the things that people struggle with, because they haven't learned the skill, is mastering scripts and dialogues, because there's a way you do it. There is, just like you get people to repeat, and Michael, because if you were in that class with me, I got everyone to stand and go through hand motions, right? My success in real estate is in direct proportion to the number of people who, when they think of real estate, think of me, right? And you remember those. So, and I call that kinesthetic learning. And so it was funny, because at family reunion with 3,600 people in the room, I got them to do the Y4C2Ts. They all stood up and did the motions, and, win-win or no deal. And we went through the whole thing, and it was fun, because I love to make training fun, but there's a deeper reason. That is, the mastery of scripts and dialogues is first. Remember, here's the way Gary and I said it to everybody. It's memorize, internalize, customize, and then capitalize.
Yep.
Right? You remember that. Well, that's the process. So the very first step is you have to memorize it as it's written, because people who have put together scripts have written them almost like poetry. So it's like memorizing a poem. If you can keep your head while all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. Right, that wonderful poem by Rudyard Kipling called If. It's wonderful, worth memorizing that poem. But people have lost this idea of memory, and they just try and wing it all the time. And the thing is that if you're going to be a powerful communicator, what Linda McKissick taught me this. She said, Dave, you have to learn to state the obvious in emotionally powerful ways. And she said, I was a pretty straightforward, tell it like it is, boring person. But she said, then I learned that with scripts and dialogues, I could start to express things in ways that others didn't, and they were more emotionally connecting and powerful. And she said, that launched my whole career, that and learning how to ask for business. So this mastery of scripts and dialogues, so this seminar I'm doing, this webinar or Zoominar for people, is called Why List With Me, The Power of Your Words. And in it, I help people understand the process of memorizing scripts, and then I give them a bunch, right? Because you really want to do that. Now, again, power of 3, we get leadership at the market center level. We have the 3 key positions: chairman of the board, operating partner, CEO, team leader, and the COO, chief operating officer, the market center administrator. One of the secrets we have that no other real estate agent or real estate company has is our commitment and value of the market center administrator. Because we know systems get things done, and great organizations run on great systems. And you better have a great system administrator. And that's what we have with our market center administrators. They are systems executives. They're an equal executive to the team leader and the OP. So we have that triangle. And of course, I say the only triangle the only pyramid in Keller Williams is the one when you add in the ALC. So you get the three positions at the bottom triangle, and then you put up here the ALC, and that creates a pyramid. And that's a powerful leadership pyramid. And we've got it all over our system. Now we know what we deliver to our agents: training, consulting, and then a productivity specific environment driven now particularly by technology. And Keller Williams is unstoppable because of its models, right? We have the MVVBP. We know who we are: mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspective. Mission: to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, and lives worth living. And now we say legacies worth leaving. Our vision: to be the real estate company of choice. Boom, that's simple. And we are. Our values: God, family, and then business. Our beliefs: the Y4C2Ts. And then PR: perspective. We are in education. We are a training, consulting, and technology company. That's what we know. It's a self thing. And then our 7 foundational models. Now, I'm going to offer 3 things that I want to send to anyone who's on this call. And all you have to do is just send me an email at dave@kw.com, dave@kw.com. Send it to me. Give me one idea that you got from this that was valuable to you, and I will send to you the PowerPoint I'm just doing. Plus I want to offer 3 other things. I'm gonna put them up real quickly, Michael, so that we have this. One is I want everyone to remember the hang on a sec. Okay. The power of who we are. See, a lot of times we just take for granted who we are, and we just sort of let it sit there. But every sales meeting, every whatever, we ought to remind people why we are the most powerful real estate company in history. We came out of nowhere against all these big other already established companies, and now we're the leader and growing faster than anybody else. It's astounding. What makes us powerful? We're built on truth. There's 7 models we were fundamentally built on. An economic model that keeps most of the money with the agent, operates on a thin margin at the market center level, but still generates profit sharing out the bottom line at 170 million a year, $1.3 billion over time. Amazing. We know number 2, we know the real estate sales business better than anybody. We know it from Ignite, all the way through Bold, all the way through our buyer seller stuff, all the training we have on KW Connect, and then up at the top, we have MREA and expansion. I mean, amazing. Every level of what a real estate agent needs, we've got it because we love real estate and we've mastered it at every level. Third thing is we have an organizational leadership model. We share leadership at everything we do through the ALC system and through teaching people to be effective leaders. We have a synergistic recruiting growth model because we know that growth doesn't happen with recruiting and marketing. It happens through relationships. People join people. People join companies that have friends at it. That's why they join us. And so that's what we reward. We reward agents for referring somebody to us, and then we bring them in. But we then reward that person that did the referral, and they can build. And by the way, I do a presentation on this that I mastered and delivered in 2008 at Mega Camp that's powerful on how to build a company inside a company and how to understand that your profit share tree is a company. It's a business. It generates profit to you forever with no management and no risk. It's an incredible model, but you have to put it in the framework of a business, a real estate business, for agents to get it and then plug into it. We don't do enough of that anymore.
Hey, Dave, are you talking, I'm sure you are, but are you talking with the Profit Share Task Force about making that training you do part of the reinvigorated training? Because I think we have gotten away from teaching Profit Share as a business.
Yeah, I am on that task force, and I have made that offer Haven't gotten taken up on it yet, but that's okay. That's okay. Because there's a lot of new stuff. I mean, they're dealing with all this. They were dealing with all this stuff about, vesting periods and all that stuff. Because that got in there. That's a different sort of organizational, technical issue. But to me, the truth about the power, and Gary Keller said it. He said, I did an interview a year ago, and I don't know if it's up on Connect yet. I did it. It's called the Origins of Profit Share, and I interviewed Gary Keller, Gary Gentry, Althea Osborne, because they were there at the founding of it, right? And it's a wonderful half-hour interview where you get the truth. And one of the things Gary says is, I invented and supported profit share because I wanted my agents to be able to build a real estate business without having to leave us. In other words, they could do their own production, but with this, they could build their own brokerage. And by the way, and I show somebody, I say, Dave Jenks has a brokerage. I began it in 1996. I only directly sponsored 6 people into it, but I have 1,200 people in my profit share company. They do $250 million of real estate sales every month. They're $1 billion. My profit share company under Dave Jenks, is a $1 billion real estate company and $1 billion real estate sales company. And it sends me $170,000 a year in pure passive income. Now, how's that for a business that I don't have to manage and there's no risk? So that's the story that I want us more to tell because it's powerful. Agents look out somewhere and they want to have their own brokerage and stuff like that. And you go, really? Why would you do that? That's the least profit margin, most chaotic, and most risky business in the entire real estate industry. Anyway, we got a little waylaid. I hope I'm not taking too long here. So
no, I guess we'll probably wrap up the next few minutes if you want, so we can leave a minute or two for questions.
Okay. All right. So here's the thing. But remember, this is important. We're a learning-based company. We believe people are learning-based. That's why we do training, because we believe high achievers are learning-based. But the secret one we have is the productivity accountability model. We know how to sustain high production. You do it with goals, 1-3-5s, 4-1-1s, and accountability. That's how you do it. And accountability is only 5 questions. And we know that an accountability session shouldn't take more than 10 minutes, right? Or we're now into therapy. And this is not a therapy session or a training session. This is an accountability session. And then we have our wonderful culture. And a lot of people don't understand that our culture has 2 sides to the coin. One side is the values-based, the Y4C2Ts, right? The huggy, kissy, good, feel good, take care of each other, KW cares, all that. Nothing wrong, that's powerful. But the other side is our achievement-focused side. That's the 6 personal perspectives. We are a company that gets things done. We want people to make money. We want people to build wealth. We want people to build businesses. And so we do that. And then, of course, finally, we have the technology model. So anyway, the other thing I have at the bottom of this page, and I will send, this is one of the things, if you send me just an email, dave@kw.com, I will send to you the PowerPoint, but also this sheet and 2 others. This one has the links to 5 podcasts I did a year ago on the power of Keller Williams. And if you want some of the language, it's right there. The other 2 things that I want to share before we quit, and I'm going to go here real quick. And I just would tell you, so it's on here, but I don't have time to go into it. And that is Keller Williams, its moments of truth. Keller Williams was built in times of adversity. It was founded when interest rates were at 11, 12, 14%. It was reinvented when Gary Keller had his top 6 agents leave for RE/MAX, and we built all these KW models. It was rebuilt again when Gary's coach, Bain Henyon, said to him, Gary, you can't do it all. You need leverage. And he hired Mo Anderson, and Mo Anderson hired me, and we launched it from there. The other thing is that, out of 9/11, we had mega camp scheduled on 9/12, the day after 9/11. We held it anyway, and then held another one a month later for those that couldn't make it. Talk about adversity. And then we saw out of that adversity, it was time for us to write MREA, MREI. Then we had the great shift in the market in 2007 to 10, and we wrote Shift, of course, to guide our agents through that. And now during this one, we have led everybody in coming out with a technology platform that will underpin our agents for the next 10 to 20 years, the command platform tied to consumers. So a big deal. And we have the 3 most powerful books ever written in real estate. And I want to just share 2 things, and then I'll be done. And that is that, and again, if you write dave@kw.com and just give me one thing you got out of this time together, and I will send you what I've already shown you, and then 2 more things. One will be this, which is my guide to the most important pages of MREA. MREA has a great table of contents, but I've gone through and highlighted the pages that really are powerful, because there's magical pages. I mean, there's like the page 71 on the 9 ways an MREA thinks. It's magical. Oh, well, they think like that. Okay, if I think like that, maybe I can be like that. The page 95, there's a listing presentation and a buyer rep presentation on one page. Amazing. Page 122, all 4 models. You could just blow up page 122, put it above your desk, and you'd have the whole MREA plan sitting right in front of you. The path to leverage, 196 to 203, 7 pages. And agents who are making mistakes right now in building their MREA teams, it's because they didn't read 196 to 203. They didn't really read it. They may have scanned it, right? They didn't get it. That's the thing. We need to get people back into the details of this book, because that's where the magic is. And then the final one that I want to share with you is, I did the same thing. Now, when we did this, we didn't really, hang on a sec, let me just, I have to find this. There we go. When we did shift, we didn't do as good a job of doing a table of contents. So these 2 pages are for you, the table of contents. And for those of you who may not know it, there's a new foreword by Gary Keller that was done in 2011. If you have an old copy of it like I do, my wife ordered a new copy and I started reading it and I went, oh, what's this? And it was this new foreword by Gary Keller. And that 16 pages is the best thing ever written on personal achievement, ever. And because he's talking to his teenage son about what you have to do to achieve a higher level than other people. It's not convenient, is what he says. And it's what you do when it doesn't feel like you want to do it that will determine what you become in the way you want to become it. And so I'm telling you, I would take those pages and I would share it with any teenager I know, any young adult, any college student. Those 16 pages are marvelous. If you don't have that, in other words, if you have an old copy of Shift, when you send me the dave@kw.com, say, Dave, I have the old copy of Shift, and I will send you that new foreword by Gary. Awesome. But anyway, I've highlighted in here this. So this is now, another table of contents. And then the final thing I just teach them that I think is really important is this. It's the kind of the mental side of this game we play. Because this is not an easy business. I had an agent once say to me, in real estate, it's neat. You get a lot of appointments and you get a lot of disappointments. So learning how to deal with disappointments is one of the ways you succeed. And so just the 3 things I tell people in the seminar, remember, life is a self-fulfilling prophecy. As you believe it will be is exactly how it'll turn out. And there will be challenges, there will be adversity, there will be disappointments, there will be things that go wrong, there will be people that disappoint you. Bring them on, take it on, build your resilience, enjoy the journey, because you are the magic.
Awesome, Dave. That's
there we go, my friend.
Great content. So I assume
I know I went on a little long. Sorry about that.
You've earned, from your reputation, what you've built and what you've done, you've earned as much time as you want to take, Dave. I don't think there was a second in that I wasn't getting value. So thank you very much for everything you shared.
Welcome.
I assume these 3 classes, are they a package deal? Is that something that you?
No, well, I mean, they could be, but they're offered individually. You could, if anyone wants to bring it in for a 1 hour, typically my Zoominars go 90 minutes. I present for about, 60 to 70 minutes, and then we open it up for any questions to people, and people can record it. And usually, again, I make some offer like I did to you, which is to say, if you send me an aha or whatever, then there's usually 4 or 5 things that I will give them. But
I mean, just right there, you're modeling something key, because it's all about building a database. So in essence, you're modeling how you're building a database by offering something of value in order to get someone's contact information.
Exactly right. And I'm building my database of that. But the other thing that's interesting about that is it's the rewards I get. What's the payoff for doing this? My golly, their comments, Michael, oh my God, the difference you made for me in this hour, the ideas I got here, I kept taking notes. So, it's that reinforcement that as a teacher is a big deal, right? That's one of the things as a teacher you really like to get, not recognition and, oh, I'm great, but in the sense of appreciation, you made a difference for me. And I love getting that. So yes, that's why I'm asking even your people to send in their aha and any other comments they want. And then also I'll right away, within a day, I'll send you what I promised.
Awesome. Does anybody have any questions for Dave on anything he talked about, anything he shared? I can't see everyone. So if you have a hand raised, I can't technically see you. So
they can chat it. Can they chat it in?
They can chat in if they want. If you have a question for Dave, throw it in the chat box. If you have a question, just unmute yourself and ask. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Dave, how you doing? Brian Fair.
Oh, Brian, listen, were you at the beginning where I dedicated this to you?
Yeah, well, I appreciate
I remember staying with you and Marcy and climbing, is it Stone Mountain? Is that
yeah.
There? Yeah. And realizing that we were both Colgate alums.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. And what the difference you've made in this company, my friend, is astounding. So thank you.
I'm so glad it's been cool to hear your words again and hear you teaching.
Yeah.
I missed that. So it was, I hope everybody's listening closely because a lot of things I've used over the years of things I've learned from you. And it's just neat to hear that again because what you bring back and are bringing out is some of the valuable things we have in this company that we probably have forgotten to talk about and share. And as leaders,
take it for granted. It's not anything other than, you're so used to it. You think everybody understands it, but then you realize how many people have joined you and all they know is the Keller Williams that is what it is today, but they don't understand the depth of its history. And what I like to say to people, and this is one of the things I say at the front end, it's, remember this is the lesson from Gary Keller. It doesn't matter where you've been or where you are, but where you want to go.
Right.
That's what will determine what happens. And so Gary had these big goals, but if you looked at the history of the company, you wouldn't have been impressed. Even in 95, 96, no one would have been impressed, but it was our intention and the intelligence of that and the commitment to it. So
yeah, and I remember that FSO, the class you taught in Atlanta, I think it was in year 2000. And yes, he did make us stand up on chair and do the Y4C2Ts.
Did I do that when we had guests in that weren't Keller Williams? Did I do that? I sometimes I'm bold, but I don't have good judgment. Okay.
Appreciate you.
Awesome.
Thank you, my friend. Say hi to Marcy.
So hey, Ronnie Iosa, why don't you unmute yourself? It sounds like you want to ask him a little more about his downline.
Yeah, I mean,
can you unmute that?
Take notes on it, and I was just so impressed. I thought I heard it that you actually only have recruited 6 people into the
Isn't that pathetic?
No, that's not.
No, it is. No, I'm not the example of what you want. Linda McKissick's the example. She's got 32 or 34 in her first level, and she probably recruited 50 or 60 to have 34 now, right? Because people are going to leave. But the point is, and of course, she's got 3,000 or 4,000 in her 7 levels, and she's making $1 million a year, she and Jimmy, in profit shares. So that's the model. See, an agent can go do that. They can sponsor somebody every 2 months for 5 years. Wow. They get to that level. But I'm just saying it's so powerful, even for somebody accidentally like me. I was helping others recruit. I was helping be the marketeer of Keller Williams, but I wasn't doing it for myself. But even I, with only 6 people at that first level, am still getting $170,000 a year of passive income. Oh my God.
Well, keep in mind, Ron, one of those 6 people is Herb Taylor, who bought the New England region.
Yeah, and by the way, Gary Keller and Mo Anderson never forgave me for that.
Hey, if it wasn't for Herb Keller, I wouldn't be here.
If you know Herb, he is his own man, and he is not easy to deal with. But guess what, man? He built a successful region. And I'll tell you what, he's a great lesson in perseverance overcomes a lack of finesse. And I would tell you that he would tell that right to his face, and he'd laugh at it. He'd agree with it. Perseverance Yeah.
So Ron, I think the point there is if you're recruiting the right people for your downline, 6 people turn into 1,200. That's the first time I heard Linda McKissick's only got 34 to 36, and they do $1 million a year. One of those people is Adele Demoro. But you get the right people. You get the right people that want to build a big business within a business, and it creates great things.
Absolutely.
Michael?
Of only recruited.
But here's the deal too.
Adele, hang on a second. Ron, you still wrap up the question?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, you know, the Linda McKissick story is obviously massive, but when you can also tell somebody a story that somebody only recruited 6, right, and that grew to whatever that number is, Dave.
1,200. Let's do it. It's 6 to 1,200. See, the way I draw, I have a little pyramid I do, or you know, where I put the Dave Jenks Profit Share Company, and 6 is in my first level. And then I put 1,200, that's the 7 levels. And then at the bottom, it says $1.2 million, which is what I've earned over my time in the company, you know.
Keep it simple. 6 to 1,200 to $1.2 million. Awesome. Adele, what do you say?
I apologize.
Hi, Adele. That's how you, this is my ADD person. I call her. You're my ADD person.
First time I went to Texas, you were our teacher. You did the whole Y4C2T thing, but thank God Richard was with me, so he always talks about you. He took notes. I just kind of had fun. But yeah, Keller Williams has been great. When I come on the Zoom, what I love and I encourage is that a lot of the team leaders on here are team leaders that have come to my company, right? And I think that as an OP, that's something that you would always share, that we need to build our agents into leadership positions, you know.
Give them that opportunity. I mean, Keller Williams, it's amazing. We are the company of opportunity.
Yes.
Because agents at some point say, you know, I'm tired of being an agent, or I've got my agent production to the 7th level or 6th, and now I'm ready for something else. And so they can become a consultant. They can become a bold trainer. They can become a team leader. I mean, they can become an OP. The opportunities in Keller Williams, it's amazing. And you watch the people. I mean, Brian knows, he's been around all that time. You watch, Brian, the people who've gotten up you know, to the highest level of this company, and they work their way up from being successful real estate agents.
Yep. Hey, Dave, I see someone on the call that I don't recognize. Do you want to introduce us to Gina?
Yeah, so this is my wife, Gina Waterfield. Gina, hop on. I refused to change my name to hers, by the way. So I kept Jenks, and because I said I already have a brand, Gina, you know. So Gina, unmute yourself and say hi to everybody.
I have grandchildren here in the background too, so you might have seen a balloon popping through every now and then, but it's a pleasure to be here with you all. Thank you for letting me pop in today.
Great to meet you. I saw Jan here, then I connected. He mentioned the name Gina before, so I connected the dots.
It's interesting because
thanks, Michael.
She's not from the real estate business, but she connects with women real estate agents. Her specialist is women's empowerment, and it's amazing. She's done sessions called Perfectly Imperfect for Keller Williams women agents, and because you know she writes she's got a chapter in this book she's writing called PMSD. Post-motherhood stress disorder. And she really deals with the fact that when you've been a mother, not only did you have to do the stress of raising the children, you know, and maybe trying to do real estate, but then you never lose the role. Once a mother, always a mother. So it's always there.
It's always there.
It's always there, yeah.
But we're dealing with a lot of adversity too, so that's another part of what I do, is just helping people to self-regulate and get through some of these troubling times that we all experience.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you for doing what you do, and thanks for putting up with Dave for us. We appreciate that.
It's a mutual endeavor.
I thought I was kind of just off into this retired life. You know, I was traveling the country with my mountain bikes and my golf clubs, and you know, just staying at Airbnbs and going to the national parks and playing all the golf courses I wanted to and all that stuff. And I thought that was the life. And then she hauled me in off the road, and now we're married, and now I'm actually working for a living. Can you believe that?
Well, actually, he volunteered to come off the road.
I like to say it the other way.
He didn't come kicking and screaming.
I'm sure he didn't. Does anyone else have any questions for Dave or Gina for that matter?
What were the 4 rules? Something about memorize. I lost the whole thing.
Internal, yeah. The 4 rules of scripting, and again, I learned this from you too, Dave. Memorize, internalize, customize, and capitalize. And I don't know if you told the story, but I use Al Pacino with the Scarface, say hello to my little friend. And how he memorized that line, then internalized it, customized it to be say hello to my little friend as kind of a way of giving an example.
No, that's a wonderful example. You didn't learn that from me. I love it though. I love it.
You can borrow it, Dave. You can borrow it.
Okay, I will. No, I'll use that. I love it. The Al Pacino.
I think everyone has that visual.
Well, you know what's interesting about that as a model, I say this to people, you know, you watch these actresses and actresses playing these roles, these very diverse roles, and you believe them. You believe that they're that character. And what have they done? They've memorized, internalized, customized, and capitalized, and they're delivering to you something that you find emotionally impactful and believable. Well, why can't you do that with your own scripts?
Yep. Same thing. And boy, can you capitalize on the right script in our business, right? So,
that's the way you do it. Yep.
Any final thoughts, Dave?
You know, I just say stay plugged in and pay attention. Right now, you as leaders, we're going through changes in the industry. Some are maybe over-exaggerated, like the role of technology than others, but the CRM is not, right? We said that in Millionaire Real Estate Agent, the CRM, you know, your database is your business. Well, now you have the most powerful database ever invented with Kelly and consumer, all of guiding you in there, and it's going to keep getting better because, as Gary said, it's all going to be driven by artificial intelligence, you know, and what was the other one? Oh, data mining, right? Big data. So he's going to make sure that we continue. That platform continues to empower us. So pay attention there. But the other is go back to the fundamentals. This is a relationship business. This is building relationships with people. It's earning their respect. It's marketing yourself. Why list with me? And it's mastering the skills of the business. So don't forget the fundamentals. That would be my point. Don't forget the fundamentals.
Awesome. Dave, thank you. Appreciate you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Again, Dave@kw.com. If you haven't memorized that yet, then his NLP training is not going into effect.
That's right.
Make sure you send him an aha so he can give you some of those free things he's willing to share with you.
Yep.
And we appreciate your time, Dave.
All right. Thanks a lot, Michael. Keep it
Dave,
rolling.
so long, Gina. So long, team leaders. You can leave if you want.
Dave.
I'll stand for a few minutes with the OPs. If OPs have any questions for me, OPs stand for just a minute. So long, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Michael.
So OPs